Thank you, Alethea. Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's regional news. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, said Monday its Board of Governors has elected Brazil's Ian Goldvan as president of the financial institution after Mauricio Claver Caron, the first American to head it, was ousted over ethics violations. 5 countries, Argentina, Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico, Brazil, and Chile had nominated candidates to head the IDB, the largest development bank in Latin America, after the turmoil of the past year severely damaged morale at the institution. Headquartered in Washington, the IDB is a key investor in Latin America and the Caribbean, responsible for $23.4 billion in financial commitments in 2021 and hundreds of infrastructure, health, and tourism projects. In a statement, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen congratulated Goldvan and said the United States stands by the IDB as the region's premier development finance institution. The scandalous ouster of Claver Caron, who was nominated by former President Donald Trump, had made it more likely that the next candidate would hail from Latin America following prior precedent. Even so, Goldvan will be under pressure to work closely with the United States, Europe, and China, given that all are members and may look to assert influence from afar. The IDB could be a battleground for a geopolitical tussle over key financing decisions for its members as Latin America grapples with stubbornly high inflation and an economic slowdown. After nominations, the vote followed a meeting of the IDB governors, who are usually finance ministers or had high-ranking economic authorities from the bank's 48 member countries. IDB shareholders have underscored the importance of rebuilding trust in the institution after Claver Caron's rocky, nearly 2-year tenure. Moving to news from Colombia. 8 people have died after a small plane crashed in the neighborhood of the central Colombian city of Medellin, according to airport authorities. The aircraft crashed after taking off from Olaya Haria Airport, Colombian aviation officials said in a statement. The victims were identified as 6 passengers and 2 crew members. Additionally, reports noted that it was not immediately clear if more than 8 people were on the plane at the time of the incident. The exact cause of the crash has not yet been determined by investigators who have since been grappling to find the cause of the accident. Medellin Mayor Daniel Quintero said in a statement that the aircraft experienced an engine failure during takeoff. Unfortunately, the pilot was not able to keep the plane aloft and it crashed in this neighborhood, Mr. Quintero said. 7 homes were also destroyed and 6 other buildings damaged, he added. Firefighters and other emergency personnel responded to the scene after being summoned, while the aircraft, a 2-engine Piper PA-31, was traveling to the western department of Coco. And finally, a powerful earthquake killed at least 162 people and injured hundreds on Indonesia's main island on Monday. Terrified residents fled into the streets, some covered in blood and debris. Many of the dead were public school students who had finished their classes for the day and were taking extra lessons at Islamic schools when they collapsed, West Java Governor Radwan Kemal said as he announced the latest death toll in the remote rural area. Hospitals were overwhelmed by injured people, and the toll was expected to rise further. No estimates were immediately available because of the area's far-flung rural population, but many structures collapsed and residents and emergency workers braced for grim news. Roughly 175,000 people live in the town of Cianjur, part of a mountainous district of the same name with more than 2.5 million people. Residents there live mostly in towns of 1- and 2-story buildings and in smaller homes in the surrounding countryside. Kamel said that more than 13,000 people whose homes were heavily damaged were taken to evacuation centers. Emergency workers treated the injured on stretchers and blankets outside hospitals, on grounds and in parking lots in Cianjur region, about 3 hours drive from the central Java. The injured, including children, were given oxygen masks and IV lines. Some were resuscitated while hundreds of people gathered outside the Cianjur Regional Hospital building waiting for treatment. That's a wrap of tonight's regional news. I'm Joel Vogt, back to you, Alethea.